Hello, warriors. Welcome to the U movement. I am B. It's the middle of the night here. I seem to be coming out of another round of Dark Night of the Soul. I have to say, yesterday and the day before that were pretty brutal. I was struggling with a lot more, I suppose, core wounds. And if you're on the twin flame journey, you know this expression about core wounds. I seem to have had a hell of a lot of those. I don't know if I'm out the other end fully yet of this awakening, or there will be more deep dives into the darkness. And that's what it is you'll be going along and then it's like a tsunami of darkness comes and takes you down and to the dark places, and you start wrestling with core beliefs that influence your life in every way, shape, and form. And those of you that have been following me that know that one of my primary struggles along this journey has been releasing, well, first escaping from trauma bonds and releasing what is inside of me that has kept me attached to these, which fundamentally is, a codependent attachment style. Because when you are raised in a trauma inducing environment as a child, it's only natural that you develop enmeshed trauma bonded styles of attachment. So that might present itself as like somebody who's anxiously avoidant or anxious. In my case, it would definitely have been anxious, although I can see at times in my life in relationship how I've also been avoidant, because nervously pulling back from situations that felt no longer safe. And I recently had another situation in my outer reality triggering me to sit and really focus on sitting with self. So I wanted to talk about Dark Night of the Soul because when it happens, you can't avoid it. You can't run from it. The only thing you can is lean into it. When the emotions start coming up, whatever those are, whether mine are usually fear-based, but they could be anger, they could be any emotions that are starting to surface. The only thing that you can do is sit in it, lie in it, sit in the ick. And that's why I love my hammock. I highly recommend somebody gets, if you're processing through inner child wounds, that you invest in a hammock, because it's somewhere that you can feel held and supported and, kind of nestled up. And so I allowed myself 24 hours to just completely unplug from everybody and just be with myself, because one thing I've noticed is, when I'm going through hard times, is my natural inclination to want to reach out to people, to be supported, to be validated, to be comforted. And Spirit was very much in my ear that this was something I needed to do for me. And, at the end of the day, I have been doing this for me. There have been people that have come in, but, in the wee hours of the night, it's usually you're on your own, and it's you on your own to face your fears and your insecurities and your doubts and everything else that you're going through. So I wanted to completely unplug from everybody. So I turned my phone off, and I allowed myself to feel all of the feelings that were coming up, even though many of them were very disturbing and dark and uncomfortable, and a lot of purges, a lot of releases that were happening. And with each release, I either reparented and gave myself, my inner child, what it needed most at that moment, or in a way, I re-dated or re-relationshiped myself and gave myself what I wish that somebody could have been in the room giving me, because when you're single, you don't have somebody's arms to wrap yourself into and stroke you and comfort. So every time I found myself saying, oh, I wish somebody was here to hug me, or, oh, I wish somebody was here to stroke my hair, or I wish somebody was here to tell me it was going to be all right. So every time I was listening to that inner dialogue of what I was wishing somebody else could provide me with, and I provided me with that. And this quest to learn to love the fuck out of yourself is a very challenging one, because we've been raised and indoctrinated our whole lives to believe that we need others to give us all of these things. And yes, as a young infant, a mammalian infant, we need somebody to provide for us. But in our own spiritual awakening, our need of people and attachment is going to come up for review, especially if you have these kind of same trauma wounds that I had. My attachment was broken as a young child when I was adopted, and then I didn't have somebody safe and healthy to attach to in my adoptive family because my mother was abusive. And so I looked, where can I adopt? And so it's like I spent the rest of my adult childhood and adult years looking for somebody to attach to. The original wound was, it's like being unplugged and then spending the rest of your life going, okay, where can I plug in? And so I would plug into friendships, I would plug into relationships, and I would plug in even to like workplace situationships. Thinking, this is where I belong, this is where I belong. And the problem with that is if you're desperately seeking to plug in with somebody, you leave yourself open in the very desperation. You leave yourself open to plug into unhealthy people. And, you could say that you're vibrating off a frequency of neediness, and so you're going to attract in a frequency of individuals seeking neediness, and therefore you reenact over and over and over again those original wounds of not being attached to somebody that has your best interest at heart. And so I mentioned in my video yesterday that at times in my life I felt like I was a narcissist magnet, because it would just keep happening over and over and over again, and I would just have these relationships that would crumble and fall because of a toxic situation would arise. I would try to communicate my needs, and that would be met with conflict, and then the relationship would disintegrate. And I was always like, well, why is this never working out the way, what's happening, And the lesson of what's happening, especially on this twin flame journey, is, we're supposed to learn to love ourselves fully. so that the need of others is no longer something that presents. So when you go through life, you're not looking to plug in, you're just looking to coexist. And so I've been working through this attachment wound and working, and I'm still going to take, it's still going to take me time to integrate. But after spending 24 hours of being completely unplugged from everybody out there and just being with me and my beautiful cat, and taking care of my own needs, is the awareness that nobody can love us greater than we love ourselves. There is nobody. So if you're always seeking outside of yourself to fill a void, you will always perpetuate a dysfunctional relationship. And I say that nobody can love you like you can because, well, nobody has your thoughts, nobody has your emotions, nobody can be a fortune teller, nobody can give you all of the validation, the support, and everything else that you're needing. It's just not possible. But you can. That is possible. It is possible to love yourself in such a way that you won't tolerate anything less than that loving energy. When you start to give yourself the love and the attention and the validation, the support, the comfort, the care, the forgiveness, the compassion, and everything else, when you start to give it yourself and you no longer need those energies from somebody else, you become self-contained. You become unfuckwithable. I love that expression. Because if you don't, then you are fuckwithable. You are in situations where you're going to compromise yourself. And I've done this over and over again, and I'm not willing to do it anymore. You tolerate, oh, well, they're busy. I'll tolerate not seeing them as much as I used to see them. I'll tolerate, not getting as much care that I used to get. I'll tolerate a little bit of, okay, sounds a little manipulative, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And you excuse a lot of things that don't resonate at being exactly what you're looking for in life, just because they provide something. You're like, oh, well, they're always there for me when this happens, so I'll just excuse these other things. So if you're compromising yourself because somebody provides one out of the 10 things that you need, that leaves you vulnerable. That leaves you very vulnerable. And I'm not willing to do that anymore because what I've realized is nobody can love me better than me. There is nobody on this planet. And, I'd rather be, if it's God's will that I spend the rest of my days single, I'm good with that. I'm like totally fine with that. It was my greatest fear when I started this, and it's funny because if you go back to like the beginning of when everything started going fucking hell wrong, was when my mother said to me, when I had said that I had asked for a divorce, that, nobody will ever love me. And that I was a very difficult person to love. And to hear those things, like, just near destroyed me. And it planted a seed in my mind of like terror, because that was my worst fear. My absolute worst fear, that was that nobody would love me. And while I know that's inaccurate, because that's the thing, is they implant in our heads lies, inaccurate things. I highly doubt that in the next 40 years, not a solitary person is going to love me again. there's a lot of billions of people on the planet. But even if of all the billions of the people on the planet, none of them do, that's okay. That's okay, because I'm going to love me. I'm going to love me now. I'm going to make sure that I'm not tolerating anything I shouldn't tolerate. I'm not going to accept anything I shouldn't accept simply because somebody shows up with some breadcrumbs. And I think the lesson for us all is to not tolerate anything, to love ourselves so fucking much that you are not looking to plug into somebody else to provide you with what you need in any given moment. You can give it to yourself. And yeah, hugging yourself isn't the same as getting a hug from somebody else. But if let's say it's a hug that you're after, I'd still rather hug myself and give it to myself than hug somebody that's going to stab me in the back, right? So what it bears the question, what are you willing to compromise for what? And I'm willing to compromise nothing. Certainly not my safety. Certainly not my sense of well-being within the relationship emotionally. Certainly not my sense of self. I'm never going to compromise that again. I won't compromise less than, I've done a video in the past about sacred sexuality and, meeting of two partners on every single chakra. Having safety and stability in the root chakra, having companionship and partnership and, pleasure and laughter and everything and the sacral, having two independent people who both have a strong sense of self that can work interdependently, not codependently, and not in any dysfunction, of power struggles and power dynamics. I'm not going to compromise that. I won't compromise somebody or myself to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't have the capacity for empathy and compassion and love and nurturance and equality of what I can offer as well. I won't be in a relationship with somebody who can't communicate and problem solve and speak with truth and authenticity and respect. I won't be in a relationship, even if they give you the best hugs whatsoever, if somebody can't, see and have the vision to build a kingdom together, to be in mission together to build something for the service of God and humanity. I'm not, it's not my job to parent somebody. It's not my job to save anybody. It's not my job to do anything but to be in a perfect, divinely orchestrated situation, and to be, as I said, in alignment with God. So I'm not willing to compromise myself. And if that means that I spend the rest of my days as a monk, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good with my own company. I laugh at my own jokes because, well, I think they're hilarious. And my cat is amazing. And I think this is why so many women you'll see now are just like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not selling myself short anymore for somebody who's still in their toxicity. The more we purify and heal ourselves and do this work through this Kundalini, it teaches us that we can let go of the need to plug in to anything other than spirit and to self, and let come what may, because you're living constantly in the present. You can't live in the future and worrying about this. So yes, my greatest fear was never, ever being loved again. And I'm willing to take that risk because I'm not going to accept any form of half-assed love or toxic love or dysfunctional love. I'm just not. So I talked and have said that, when you get out of a toxic relationship, give yourself at least a minimum of a year to get to know yourself, to learn to love the fuck out of yourself, so that we don't have to buy into the lie that we need anyone. Friends, family, partnership. We don't need anyone. Spiritual maturity teaches us we are whole. We have it all within us to give to ourselves. If you're struggling with that one, and listen, I understand that one can be a real struggle because loneliness can be ever present. And my advice to you, if you're sitting in lonely, is to sit in lonely and comfort yourself through the lonely. Give yourself everything that you wish somebody else would. Love yourself the way you wish they had in your past as a child or in your past in relationships. Give yourself everything that you wish somebody else had given you. And you keep practicing that as a practice of self-care, and you will get to a place where you realize as well that nobody can love you like you can. If you need some help and you want to book with me, feel free to reach out. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscription. I'm sending you all my utmost love and compassion as you navigate through these ups and downs on this crazy awakening path. And with that said, peace out.